was chairman of the Revenue Committee when I was in the legislature. And then he was also, by the way, the head of the agriculture department here and worked with us a lot on food safety. So he knows our industry, and Ron, I'll let you talk about yourself more, but our first candidate today is Ron Micheli.
Thanks, Lynn. It's great to be here. Those of you that know me know I don't like to be attached to a podium, but it looks like I'm going to be to this one, so bear with me. I like to get out from behind the podium and talk to people. It's great to be here. I see some familiar faces and some folks that maybe aren't quite as familiar. As I understand it, Lynn, if it's all right, I'd give just a quick background of who I am and what we're about, and then we're going to have some questions. For those that don't know me, I'm from southwest Wyoming, a little town called Fort Bridger, Wyoming. Bridger Valley. We're about 40 miles east of Evanston, just on the interstate. We have a ranch over there. I'm a fourth-generation rancher. Our ranch has been in our family for over 100 years. I think I know something about small business and the challenges of meeting payroll and finding health insurance and paying your taxes and trying to keep it together. So I feel like at 40 years experience in the private sector, I believe that it's important to bring somebody to state government that has some sense of private sector and small business. At the age of 28, I was elected to the legislature. I served in the Wyoming legislature with good people like Lynn for 16 years. I went through the leadership positions, was chairman of the Revenue Committee, know a few things about taxes and the effect that they have on small business. I think it's important to have someone in the governor's office that understands the legislative process and knows how to get things done in the legislature. Following that, as Lynn mentioned, Governor Geringer called me up on the phone and asked me if I'd be a part of his administration, and I served for 8 years as Director of the Department of Agriculture. And so we'll talk more about it. There's Gene over there, I didn't even see you. Talk more about that here in a minute. So here we are. I've got an end on my time, so I guess I'm through. So let's get together. Let's get some questions.
Ron, welcome and good afternoon.
Thank you.
My name is Ken Patel. I'm a director in WLRA and a chairman of the Governmental Affairs Committee, and of course chair of the PAC. So I'm fortunate to ask you the first question, and the question is: since the Wyoming Travel and Tourism program is an investment that brings over $100 million a year in state and local taxes and 30,000 full and part-time jobs, would you maintain spending at the current level even in the light of budget shortfalls?
The question is really well worded, because it is an investment, because it is a partnership, and a lot of people I don't think understand that. So yes, I would, because you folks are putting up a considerable amount of money of your private investment to do advertising. We also have a companion or a partnership with the local governments, those that have the lodging tax. So we have the local folks buying into that, and certainly the state needs to be a part of that partnership. And the Wyoming tourism, travel and tourism is an important part of that. So I don't need to tell you this, it's a very competitive market out there with other states. And other states have actually exceeded what we do in terms of our investment, and we need to maintain that. So it's an investment. It brings additional income to the state in a critical industry, and so we need to do everything we can to maintain that. And I would do everything in my power to make sure that we maintain that level of funding.
Thank you. Mr. Michael, I'm Barry Sims. I'm CEO of Taco John's. I'm also president-elect for the Wyoming Lodging and Restaurant Association.
Congratulations.
Thank you. What would you, and I'm looking for something kind of specific here, but is there one or two things that you would specifically do to diversify, develop, and expand Wyoming's economy?
Well, as you all know, we've been talking about diversifying our economy since statehood. And it's a worthy goal, and we need to continue to do that. I don't mean to make fun of it, but with some limited results. The good Lord saw fit to put a lot of minerals in the borders of the state of Wyoming. And thank goodness that he did. Because as you probably know, 80% of the revenues to the state of Wyoming comes from our mineral industry. We're very blessed. But it's a blessing and it's a curse because of our boom and bust economy. As the mineral industry goes, so goes our state. So we need to do a better job of diversifying. I believe that sometimes we as a state have tried to bring things into the state which is really pie in the sky. And so we have to do a benefit cost analysis, if you will, of what is doable and what is beyond the scope of reality of bringing things into Wyoming. Just as a general statement, I would say that I would prefer to leave the local communities to be allowed to do that. And you're sitting in a county here, the Laramie County LEAD program and the folks that are bringing in business, they're doing an exceptional job in Cheyenne. And I'm running out of time. I'm sorry. I'm going to keep going. We need to do the things that will actually work for us. A classic example is Governor Geringer saw a huge opportunity to connect the communities of Wyoming with fiber optics and with the high-tech stuff. You may know about Aleutian up in the northwest part of the state that is now teaching English into Korea. Employs several hundred people. It continues to change. I think 300 to 400 people. Good for them. That's the kind of stuff we could really do in Wyoming. The other thing, and I'm hurrying, the other thing that we can do, and I think we really have not done a good job of this, and that is adding value to the minerals that the good Lord saw fit to put here. We are too content as a state of loading up coal on a train or putting oil and gas in a pipeline or putting trona on a train and shipping it out of state. When in fact the real jobs are created by the manufacturing of those minerals in Wyoming. Let me give you an example. As you probably know, down in my country, trona is a big deal. We have 95% of the trona in the state of in the nation in Wyoming. It's a major player in making glass. Wouldn't it make a lot more sense to try to get those glass manufacturers to come to Wyoming and locate at the resource rather than paying the freight to send that trona out of state? We can do a lot more of that with our coal, with our gas, and dare I say, even our uranium. So I think that we ought to be more proactive in adding value to our minerals and diversifying our economy, dancing with the gal that brung us.
Good, thank you.
Mr. Micheli, I'm Tim Giberson, General Manager of JCPenney in Cheyenne and Chair of the Wyoming Retail Association. My first question to you is, if revenues fall below projections and there's a need for additional taxes during your administration, what specific taxes would you propose?
Well, I saw that question. You're making me squirm. It's a hypothetical question, and I'm not going to make hypothetical answers. And I know call me a politician. I'm going to duck it. My preference would be that we will not raise taxes in Wyoming, and I would be committed to that first and foremost. I know that isn't what your question is. If revenues fall, what would be the place that we would raise revenue? And my answer back would be it would be dependent upon the situation at the time. I don't think we can stand here and say, I'm going to raise the severance tax, I'm going to raise the sales tax, I'm going to raise the gas tax, because my years in the legislature dictate that situations change, circumstances change. I voted to raise taxes. I don't like it, but I've done it because when the need is there, you identify the need and then you identify how you're going to pay for it. Generally speaking, Wyoming has always had a user's tax. Those people who expect a service are the people that generally pay for it. So, call me, say I'm dodging the question, but I think it would be irresponsible for me to stand before you and say, I'm going to raise sales tax. I don't know if that's what I would do 10 years from now or 6 years from now. So, my first preference would be to tell you I will not raise taxes in Wyoming. And we can talk about the growth of state government and how I think that we need to worry about that before we start talking about raising taxes. That would be the thing I would prefer to do. And then if we get to the point of your hypothetical question, we'll just have to see.
Ron, I have an easy question for you.